developments in the disappearance of 7-year-old Kyron Horman. The adorable child vanished 4 weeks ago today. KGW-TV reports that a reliable source tells them Kyron's stepmom, Terry Horman, is lying to investigators, and that her cell phone records show she was not where she said she was on the day that little Kyron vanished. Plus, why did Kyron's biological parents, 86, two media outlets from the family presser yesterday? Don't they want all the help they can get to find their precious stepson? His stepmom, Terry Horman, was the last person known to see him. And now, even though she has not been named a suspect or a person of interest, she remains under a dark cloud of suspicion. What does Terry Horman know? Kyron's biological mom called her out yesterday in an intense and emotional news conference.
We implore Terry Horman to fully cooperate with the investigators to bring Kyron home.
Reports are it was the cops who told Kyron's dad, Kane Horman, to move out, leave his wife Terry, and take their baby girl with him. What do cops know that would inspire them to suggest such a thing? Here is Terry Horman 5 years ago in bodybuilding competitions. But that was long before she had 3 kids to take care of. One of them, her stepchild, Kyron. How did she go from this to this? Did the pressure of taking care of 3 children, including her stepson Kyron, prove to be too much for her? Oh. Straight out to my fantastic expert panel. But we begin with investigative reporter Michelle Sagona. Michelle, what is the very latest?
Well, I spoke with Lieutenant Lynn Strand just a short time ago, and she says they're continuing to follow up on leads not only today, but throughout the weekend. And so they're still accepting all of those leads in and moving forward. As far as the family, they did meet yesterday behind closed doors with a select group of reporters. I can tell you that a lot of us were able to send in questions and requests through the police department, through the sheriff's office, which in turn passed it over to the family, and then they decided what they wanted to answer and who they wanted to meet with. So they decided at this particular time to meet with local reporters from most of the television stations in the area, but they only answered questions about Kyron. We had learned a little bit more about... Go ahead, Jane.
Well, go ahead. If you have something about Kyron, because I'm going to talk to the reporter in a second who was at that news conference. So what about Kyron?
We learned a little bit more about Kyron, for instance, his favorite foods. He likes sushi and mac and cheese. Also, he has a strawberry-colored birthmark that is faded, that's on his forehead, but comes back out when he gets excited or when he cries. Also, Kyron is allergic to bees. And these are very important physical characteristics about someone and about their habits that are good for any missing person case. In addition, there are some independent search teams that are on the ground in the island where investigators were initially searching. And I spoke to Lieutenant Lindstrand about that, and I also spoke to one of the teams on the ground. But she encourages anyone who wants to conduct any type of searching to please come through them first.
Kyron's family laid down a lot of very strange, that's how I'd have to put it, ground rules at yesterday's news conference. The family handpicked who would be allowed to witness this tearful statement by Kyron's mom.
Kyron is still alive. We would like all of you, everyone, to continue to get his face out there, to continue looking for him in your day-to-day activities. We pray each day for Kyron.
Reporter James Pitkin with the Willamette Week joins us by phone. James, you were one of the reporters who got tossed out. This seems like very controlling behavior. What happened and why?
Well, the father, Kane Horman, told me and reporters from the Oregonian, which is the biggest newspaper in the state, that he wasn't happy with our coverage. He wanted the story to stay focused on Kyron, and he told us to leave the church.
But that's so weird because their whole message of the news conference was, Terry, tell cops what you know. And I've read the coverage of your paper and the Oregonian, and it's all focused on Terry and what she may know. So you guys are on the same page.
Well, that's the direction that the story took us. Apparently the family is not happy about that.
That is so strange. I got to bring in my dear friend Rita Cosby, journalist, and she has covered so many of these cases. I got to read to you because this is astounding. KGW-TV is reporting that reliable sources tell them she's lying to investigators. She's not cooperating with investigators. We're talking about the stepmother, Terry. She's refusing to answer questions. The lady with the red hair right there. Her answers on polygraphs are evasive, and KGW also says cell phone records indicate she was not where she said she was on the day Kyron disappeared. Your thoughts?
You know, Jane, I think your last statement, is the most interesting because authorities, you and I have both covered a lot of these cases through the years. If authorities say she was not in that particular area, they're going to be able to pinpoint where she was. And that could indicate, indeed, maybe if this is indeed the suspect, and they're not saying it officially, but if it turns out she's a suspect, it may give an area sense. This just looks so fishy. There's something very strange in her behavior, if you look at her pattern of her behavior. And then the other thing, too, look at her record, too. She has all this reckless abandonment issues. She's got questions of behavior with prior children. There's a lot of things in here. It's clearly the authorities are zooming in on here, and it's also clear that the family knows it too, and that's why they're screening, I think, what reporters are coming in and what are coming out.
Well, here's my big issue tonight. Are investigators tightening the psychological noose around Terry Horman, the stepmom? After being briefed by cops, the husband files for divorce, gets a restraining order, so Terry's not even allowed to have contact with any of her children. Then this family gathers noticeably without Terry and names names, points the finger at her. Let's hear it once again.
We implore Terry Horman to fully cooperate with the investigators to bring Kyron home.
Mike Brooks, it was the cops who reportedly told Kane Horman, Kyron's dad, move out. Is this a strategy?
You know, it could very well be, Jane, but, you know, it's a strategy. He could have moved out, but he filed for divorce and filed for a restraining order. He got a restraining order for her, you know, and now she has a criminal attorney. She doesn't have a divorce attorney. So if it's a strategy, I think it's starting to work.
You know, I gotta...
Well, hold on, Brooksy. I didn't like the way Brooksy said criminal attorney. Would you almost think that means that she's guilty of something?
No, I'm just pointing out the fact, counselor, that it is a criminal attorney and not someone that deals in probate court most of the time.
But I sense the tone. I sense the tone. And all I'm saying is that when someone becomes under the microscope, it's a good idea to get an attorney, even if they've done absolutely nothing wrong, because they then can control their time and they can cooperate when they are available, not necessarily whenever law enforcement comes a knocking.
Well, then he needs to control his client too, then, counselor, because she's been out there on the World Wide Web and under other names. He needs to rein her in then.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think she should be out there if in fact that is her doing it.
Well, let me get to all of that. You guys have had a fabulous little debate there. Terry Horman, Mark's point, has not been named a suspect or even a person of interest. I'm starting to wonder what that is all about. Now, she has reportedly lied on at least 2 different occasions that we know of. Lie number 1, she told a reporter who came to her door that everything was fine, that her husband had not moved out. Less than an hour later, she was served with divorce papers and the restraining order, and we now have learned that Kane, in fact, had moved out 2 days earlier. Lie number 2, as you just heard Mike Brooks mention, Terry allegedly wrote emails under assumed names to a Portland TV station to claim her innocence. Why didn't she just use a real name? Stacey Kaiser, psychotherapist, what do you...
Who uses their real name when they post on the internet?
I mean, there's definitely a pattern. Here's one of the things that I can tell you. I have dealt with a lot of people who are accused of crimes, both innocent and guilty, as it would turn out. And what I've discovered is the people that are innocent, they don't lie. They're open, they're honest, they're willing to talk to police officers. They want to get their name cleared as quickly as possible, and that's not what this woman is doing.
See,
James Pitkin, I want to get something from you. James Pitkin, why do you think she has not been named a person of interest at this point? You are there on the scene.
Investigators have been extremely tight-lipped throughout this investigation. They will not say why, but they just say that they are not ready to talk anything about suspects or people of interest in this case.
Are they still searching that island near the school that they've been focused on like a laser beam?
I've been told that the dive team at the sheriff's office continues to be active. They're going out every day, but it's not clear where. The major search effort is definitely over, though.
Jane, they may not be calling her a person of interest, which I don't like anyway. I call that suspect light. Or they're not calling her a suspect, but where is the focus of their investigation? It's on Terry Horman.
They should keep it wide. They need to keep it wide at this point.
All right, more on the drama surrounding little Kyron.